The Minnesota Vikings, our purple, will play the Cleveland Browns on Sunday in London. And the Cleveland Browns have decided to bench Joe Flacco for Dylan Gabriel, a rookie quarterback. Is that a good move for the Cleveland Browns? Or is it just disrespect towards B-Flow and our Minnesota Vikings? We discuss on the UP.
I don't know who I am. Can I say?
Powered by Riverside FM.
Man, I just think this is a disrespectful move by the Cleveland Browns. Like, there is just no other way to put it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that can spin it a bunch of different ways. You look at the way Joe Flacco has been playing the last couple of weeks. You look at what Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings bring to the table in terms of their defense. Even though they have not been the defense that we expected them to be in certain areas of the field, they are still an intimidating defense when you look at all the defenses around the league. And I know the first thing that people are going to throw up is that Joe Flacco is ancient. Joe Flacco is old. Joe Flacco is a statue. But UP Nation, look at this. When you talk about our defense, quarterbacks that have had probably the most success against our defense are the old veteran quarterbacks that have been in the league for a while, where all the eye candy pre-snap stuff that Brian Flores doesn't really get to them, doesn't fool them. AKA Aaron Rodgers last week. Now the Browns, although Joe Flacco wasn't playing well, the Browns are going to bench Joe Flacco, someone that gives them the smarts and the intelligence at the line of scrimmage to be a formidable opponent against that Brian Flores defense, just in terms of X's and O's, knowing what he's looking at and reading. Now, Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns, they are now deciding to put a quarterback out there in Dylan Gabriel, who is more mobile. I believe he's going to need that mobility on Sunday. But someone who has not had a start, a play, really in a regular season game. He played a little bit last week when they benched Joe Flacco at the end in the last 3 minutes. But I'm talking about real reps. He has yet to take a snap under center in a real game with meaningful minutes, and you are going to put him up against Dr. Blitzenstein. Now, either that is just malpractice on the Cleveland Browns side and just stupidity on the Cleveland Browns side and not looking at things from every angle, or it's just disrespect to the Minnesota Vikings. Like, you would think that there would have to be a worry, right? You're putting this guy who is just starting his NFL career against that, what Brian Flores is going to put up against him? There's got to be that mindset, man, somewhere in the Cleveland Browns locker room, somewhere within Kevin Stefanski and his offensive scheme, that we just don't fear the Minnesota Vikings. We just don't fear the Minnesota Vikings. Is it arrogance on Kevin Stefanski's side? Or do they see weakness in Minnesota? That they think a rookie can come in London and give them the best chance to win? Man, it's crazy. It's got to be just disrespect. How Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings should approach this, man, is I would just take offense to it. That would be my theme to my defense all week long if I'm Brian Flores, is that they're really going to bench a veteran who's been an MVP in the league and who's won a Super Bowl to start against us. If the Minnesota Vikings hypothetically fail in this situation, oh man, the critics are going to come out then. If they don't dominate this game on the defensive side of the ball, the critics are going to come out. they're already getting hit about the defensive run stopping game. Like they're not stopping the run like they should. Blake Cashman has been out. That's been tough to replace. But the guys up front, Allen and Hargrave, really haven't been doing their jobs as well, not to the level that we expected them to do. So if a rookie quarterback comes in Sunday morning against the Minnesota Vikings and is successful, boy, the critics are going to come out about the Minnesota Vikings defense and Brian Flores. The way the coaches should frame this to their team is that we're going to dominate, and that them starting a rookie quarterback against us is just disrespectful. The question is now, though, coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, how much pressure does this put on our purple? How much pressure does this put on the Minnesota Vikings? I think it puts a little bit of pressure on us, because you can't lose this game. Number one, you lose this game, you go down and you're 2-3 going into the bye. There's a big difference between 2-3 and 3-2 and taking a loss into the bye or taking a win into the bye. Like, you've got to take the win into the bye. And this is the Cleveland Browns. And don't think the Cleveland Browns aren't a formidable opponent. Hell, they beat the Green Bay Packers, who in most circles people are talking about are going to go to the Super Bowl, especially after the Michael Parsons trade. But they are still the Cleveland Browns, and you are the Minnesota Vikings. So this should be a game that you should put away and win. It's going to be tough because the Cleveland Browns, they've got that number one defense in the league. And in my opinion, the Cleveland Browns defense is an elite defense in the league. I think the Cleveland Browns defense is where I thought the Minnesota Vikings defense would be by now. And the Cleveland Browns defense is a formidable opponent. Myles Garrett didn't practice yesterday, probably not going to practice today. But Myles Garrett is going to play in that game. He's dealing with a foot ankle type thing. I don't know, but I know his will is a little bit tender right now. But my guess is he's going to suit it up on Sunday. Man, there's a lot of domino effects from this. Number one, you got the Minnesota Vikings and their defense. If they can dominate, they go into the bye feeling pretty good. And if they make Dylan look bad, this could start a domino effect in Cleveland, because they've got about 1 million quarterbacks on their roster. Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Zappy. Don't forget Zappy. He's on the practice squad. There could be a lot of domino effect in Cleveland. But we've got to set this thing up where the Minnesota Vikings have the right mindset going into this game. There's no way, if we are who we think we are, we have a veteran quarterback in Carson Wentz. KOC has been in press conference talking about the things that have hurt us have been the self-inflicted. The penalties. He understands where his offensive line is, so he's got to make an adjustment on the offensive end as the play caller. We've got a good running game in terms of Jordan Mason. I think the balance is going to be everything. Being able to establish to run the football, be able to help those offensive linemen with some play action. I'm not even going to mention the word short game, because I think we may see signs of that, but I just don't think that that's KOC's bag. So for those of you that are waiting for KOC to implement this 75% short game type game plan, that's not coming from KOC, man. That is not his thing. He has had plenty of opportunities to do that this year, past years. He just doesn't do it. And I believe he doesn't do it because it's just not in his bag. It's just not in his wheelhouse. Will we see some things? Absolutely. But don't expect to see the majority of the game be quick slants and short games. He likes to go vertical down the field. This game is going to send the Minnesota Vikings on a trajectory. It's either going to be negative elements going into the bye, or is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel? Some positive elements going into the bye with the possibility of that offensive line coming back, with the possibility of J.J. McCarthy coming back. Knock on wood, nobody else gets hurt. Coming out of the bye, we should be a relatively healthy team. So this may be a gift. The Cleveland Browns are not known as the smartest franchise on the planet. So they may not have any fear of the Minnesota Vikings, and they're going to start Dillon Gabriel, which could be a really good move for them, and we will find out, but it also could be a stupid move. My guess is it's a stupid move, and the Minnesota Vikings have to capitalize on that. We've got to take this gift from the Cleveland Browns and win. When I saw the news, I just thought it was utter disrespect for the Minnesota Vikings. Dillon Gabriel against B-Flow? Come on, man. Come on, man. Let me tell you something about Dillon Gabriel, because obviously you guys know I'm from Cleveland, so I pay attention to the Cleveland Browns. The fact that he's a lefty is going to be a little bit different, and he is a mobile quarterback, so he can play and run things off script. But if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm telling my defensive linemen to get their hands up, because he is a short guy behind those big linemen. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to get some batted balls down. I think we got to show him a lot of eye candy at the line, confuse him. I think that even if we don't get him with an official sack, I think we have to hit him a lot, let him know that we're there, make him skittish. And I think this is just one of those games where I think the Minnesota Vikings can have 3 turnovers. Easy on the defensive side of the ball, even with the possibility of scoring one. There's going to be plenty of opportunities why this guy is out there trying to cut his teeth for the Cleveland Browns. Now, Dillon Gabriel is a playmaker, and I think that's what Kevin Stefanski sees in Dillon Gabriel. Don't sleep on his ability to be able to make plays. And so I think once the coaches for the Cleveland Browns kind of sat down and talked about, okay, does Joe Flacco give us the best opportunity to win, or Dillon Gabriel? They are banking on off script being better than veteran brain at the offensive line. And the off script game, the sandlot game, is going to be paramount for the Cleveland Browns. On those plays, on those instances, can the Minnesota Vikings on defense make plays to keep Dillon Gabriel from being successful off script? Because that's where I think his bread is going to be buttered. Lining up straight up, he's not going to be able to beat our Minnesota Vikings and that defense. But once he starts to leak out of the pocket, once he starts to roll out, he's a lefty, so the ball's going to come out a little bit different. This is where Dillon Gabriel is really, really good. And this is where the Minnesota Vikings are going to have to be smart. Ivan Pace Jr. is going to have to be on his game in coverage. He can't be overly aggressive, get himself out of position, especially when B-Flow and the fellas drop back into those zones. They like to blitz up front with about 5, drop that zone behind him. Ivan Pace Jr. has to be on point in that secondary. Can't have holes like he did in Pittsburgh last week. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out, man. When I saw it, I just thought to myself, wow, how disrespectful this is for the Cleveland Browns. And maybe they will sell it as Dillon Gabriel gives us the best opportunity to win. But man, you're starting Brian Flores is 4-0 against rookies in this league as a defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And I think this one should be 5-0. I just don't see any way that Dillon Gabriel can consistently beat the Minnesota Vikings. He better not consistently beat the Minnesota Vikings. And on the other side of the ball, offense got to move the ball. Those self-inflicted that KOC always talks about. And I get tired of him talking about that. These guys got to fix it. The coaching staff got to fix it. We've got to move the ball. And when we get into the red zone, we've got to score. And the play calling has to be great on Sunday. KOC has got to reach into his bag and be better as a play call. But do you see it as a good move for the Cleveland Browns? Or is it disrespect towards the Minnesota Vikings? I don't know. But we're going to find out on Sunday. Please hit that like and subscribe button. This has been Unconventional Playbook. And as always, UP Nation, Skull Nation, Purple Gang, man, I will see you when I see you. Skull.